So wait, it just sounds like I saw your face and I just heard, Tom, key my car tonight, please. That's all I heard.
Wow.
That's all I heard was that.
Nerd on.
What's up, everyone? Oh, God. Every time I have this thing, it's always a false start.
I think we're keeping that in.
It's always a false start. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but the one you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome, even if you're a fanboy and just a bandwagon fan and all types of fan and everything like that, all the fans.
Why are you looking at
even
me?
if you're a robot fan and don't really have ears to listen to this.
You just follow what you're told to follow.
Yes, exactly.
Sheeple.
If you're a fan and like
Sheeple are welcome.
having love made to your ears.
podcast and donate.
Even if you let the box office decide what to like.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's fine.
It's
Let the reviewers
It's
tell
okay.
me. Let Rotten Tomatoes tell me.
We all want to belong.
My name is Tom. I am the resident comic book nerd, filmmaker, director, writer, thingamajigger, guy that just has terrible improvisational skills.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I'm pretty quiet on the mic.
Wow.
And there's to my left.
What's up? I am Corey Powers. I am the resident rude boy on the lot. I'm the bad boy of the group.
So Rihanna
You
makes
keep
songs about
telling yourself that.
Musician, filmmaker with Tom, and yeah.
I feel like every time I say filmmaker, you have to do like with Tom. It's like,
Well, I am.
Like
I haven't done anything on my own yet.
We're like
When
this
I-
weird
someday,
relationship.
when I make my own thing, I'll say that I'm a filmmaker. But right now,
you'll say I'm a filmmaker without Tom.
I'm a filmmaker without Tom, and I project.
I'm my own boy.
Hey, this is Ali. I'm the nerdy kid that never got the girl next door.
Oh,
That's good.
Your resident gamer, YouTuber, broadcaster, et cetera,
nice. I'm Josh, host, audio guy. I do post-production audio. That's what I do outside of this. And
And then he posts it.
Yeah, and then I post it. I edit
Post
it.
production.
I do the post
Production.
of the post-production. Yeah.
For you all, so you guys can post it on
Yeah,
your own
so you
social
can-
medias.
And just keep posting.
Yeah.
And sharing
Post
it.
on post on post.
So today we're going to have the episode that we have been hinting at, tantalizing about, and we finally said, you know what? Let's just do it.
Fuck it, we're going live.
Let's ship it. We're doing it. So we are going to have the Spider-Man movies episode.
Basically, what he's saying is Tom and I are going to spend the next hour yelling at each other.
And also,
Yeah.
don't be surprised if this is the last episode.
And that was the moment that we
You
lost
just saw
everything.
them fall apart during an hour. It was crazy.
Corey
So-
started crying. Tom was yelling at people out the window.
There
It
was
was amazing.
Ollie was
flown
fetal
around.
in the corner. It was crazy.
And Josh was trying to mix it all.
and it sounded great.
He brought in Steve Aoki for some reason.
So, yes, we are here to discuss the Spider-Man movies and some specific people to talk about. We have Tobey Maguire. We have Andrew Garfield, correct?
Mr.
Yes.
Garfield.
Mr. Garfield and Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Thom
Thomas Holland.
Oh, man. Do I dare? I'm opening up.
You want to do like a little bit of backstory?
Yeah,
Let's do a little origin story. So,
Okay.
2001, 2002.
I think it's 2002.
2002, Spider-Man 1
2002.
comes out. So since then, 15 years later, now we have 3 different Spider-Men in over 6 movies.
Yep.
So it's a matter of,
Yeah.
and I mean, for me, I have,
2002.
yeah, I have some bias because I, again, read the comics and I've watched the Spider-Man animated series, Radioactive Spider-Man. So goddamn,
Spider-Man.
so goddamn good. But there has to come to that point where we can be, and the thing I love about this show is that, again, we can talk, we can laugh, we can rant. The main thing, we got to analyze. Analyze these films, the characters, what's great about them, what we love, and what we hate. And just because we might say some things we don't like about it doesn't mean we don't like the film itself.
That's right.
Yep.
Let's
Or
keep that all
our
in mind.
fellow host. Can I
Or
please?
Yes.
Yes.
There
It's
may
okay.
be some
Tom and I
hate.
have done this enough.
We
where
are
we're
4
okay with
grumpy old men. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Right. Exactly.
That's what it is now.
So
So how do we do this? Do we just go into one, or
Because
do we say like why
here's
we
the
don't
thing.
like?
This is the reason why we are a little apprehensive, because I have seen blood happen. I've seen violence.
Seen Tobey
You seen the
Maguire.
fire behind my eyes?
Seen
Yeah,
Tobey
I
Maguire
mean-
tears.
I have.
Oh God.
I've seen some bad things. So, okay, so I will open up the floor because
Yes.
I am a open individual.
Yeah, you
And
see movies for entertainment. That's the
Yeah.
thing I love about you.
You're
you said
sweet. You like movies just to watch them.
That's
Doing
nice
well.
of
We're
you.
starting well, guys.
No, I actually just watched all 6 of them like last month.
Whoa.
Wow.
Just because
In preparation for this, y'all.
Yeah, in preparation. But no, my wife and I were like, oh, let's watch movies. So we did that. And it's kind of funny to see them degrade in time.
I'm flexing.
damn it.
I'm flexing
Let it
so
happen.
hard right now.
But there's a peak at the end. And it's really interesting to look at the internet for this kind of question, because me personally, like, I'm gonna say, okay, but it's not a degrade, it's more of a degrade in story. Like, but I feel like more of my opinions will come out, but I will just say that that's kind of, I see a V shape
Okay.
in the movies. So I'm
You just
seeing the
gave Tom
shaking
the
of
biggest
heads.
boner of all time by saying
Not even
that.
a nerd on.
It's just fully sexual now. It's not even
God.
nerdy.
I love you in a brotherly, non-sexual way.
I think that's the consensus for the most part.
Well,
Well,
For the most part.
okay. Corey, give me your hand. Corey, give me your hand. I'm holding him.
I told you this is going to be a heated.
I have some mixed feelings, and I'll say right off the bat that I don't have a firm grasp on, like, I don't have that firm vision for the V shape
Mhm.
myself.
I always try to get that V for my abs.
Exactly. I got to get some workout tips
Inguinal
from
lines.
you. Yeah. So my opinions might change throughout this discussion.
Yeah.
So
I'll
I'm gonna
tell
be
you what to
open.
think.
Okay. Yes, sir.
mine is more of an N shape.
Oh,
There's, yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh man. We'll go into deeper into it, but I'll just describe. That's what my shape is. It's an N shape.
Mine's more like someone tried to draw a V and it just didn't finish the last leg.
Oh no.
It was just
Interesting.
a pure decline for me.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
Look at that.
Okay. So
Well,
should we
okay,
start?
Mixed bag of nuts. You want nuts?
so I mean,
Should we start from the beginning?
do we want to go to the beginning? Do we want to
Yeah.
do it chronologically?
Let's do it.
So-
I mean, I could start off with my qualms first if you want.
okay, do we want to do qualms first, or do we want to just talk about it first? Because I think
That's
a good thing like is if we just start bad, everyone's gonna be like, oh, they hate everything. But then like
That's a
let's-
good point. That's
So
a good point. Because I love all of them.
So once
Let me
upon
throw
a
it out
time, there were no superhero movies, and Sam Raimi decided to make one.
well,
Well, X-Men.
before X-Men.
Yeah.
And then before that, Dick Donner, Superman.
Yeah.
Then before that,
Blade.
Tim Burton. And then before, I mean, there's been a lot of superhero movies, but the thing is, like,
It was-
in a modern time.
Right.
this started the.
This is in the
started
2000 range.
Yeah, this started the.
It was on board with the resurgence that
Like,
X-Men.
oh, this makes
Yeah.
money.
This is like
Yeah.
during the same time
Era.
The Matrix was out, Star
Yeah.
Wars, Phantom Menace was out.
The MCU kind of started budding a little bit.
It's pretty
What do you
darn
because,
think?
and correct me if I'm wrong, they did the Batman movies and then they wanted to do Superman and it failed like halfway through the project, right? With Nick Cage.
Well, so after Christopher Reeves, had his injury and all that, like they were going to do Superman Lives, and Kevin Smith was the one that's going to write it. Tim Burton's going to direct it,
With Nicolas Cage's Superman.
and Nick Cage was going to do it, but it never happened. And there's a great documentary about that too, but
See those photos that came out from that?
Yeah.
Those test photos?
Yeah.
which is so funny because like the producer from, if you ever watched A Night with Kevin Smith, literally said like, I don't want him in the suit, it's too faggy. That's literally the quote.
Yeah.
And yet we see Nick Cage in the literally Superman
the-
suit. It's like,
in
all
the-
right, come
yeah.
on, well, whatever.
So we're not talking about Superman.
Sorry.
I can see that we are skating around the topic because people at home, I'm telling you,
It's heated.
it's very heated. We had a production meeting for this show.
All right, let's do it.
and
Let's do it. Let's get started. Bone Saw's ready. How about you? Let's do
Okay,
it.
are we gonna do this?
3
Yeah.
minutes.
So who? Okay, so I'll go first.
You go first.
You got
Okay, I'll
this.
go first. So
Grandpa Tom.
Grandpa. So Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy is to me my penultimate. It's not penultimate. It's the best Spider-Man iteration to date. We don't talk about 3 because no one talks about 3, but I'm talking about 1 and 2. I mean, if you think about it, it's like then you're missing a third of it. Whatever, I don't care.
If we're gonna include Amazing Spider-Man 2, though, we have to include
Okay, fine.
Spider-Man
We'll talk about all the worst and all the
Yeah.
bad things that happened, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like Dark Knight Rises is the bad part of Dark Knight trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, Sam Raimi, guy literally took his friends, Bruce Campbell, out to the woods, made Evil Dead. If you ever watched that film, you could tell like God, they had like the lowest budget. They doing the like
And it's
kookiest
amazing.
like camera moves and
Yep.
Bruce
dumbest
Campbell
lines.
almost died.
Yeah, and it's just like so over the top. When you watch that and then watch Spider-Man right after it, it's Sam Raimi perfected.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like he
Yeah, I agree
uses
with
the
that.
same like the camera's following the object, not the person. Like technique when like something's going thrown, like if it's the Green Goblin batarang wannabe thing, if it's Doc Ock's like claw going after somebody, like it's the same thing. Like the Doc Ock sequences,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's
And,
literally like people getting pulled in a
DOR.
horror movie fashion.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anyways, Spider-Man 1. Again, so I was saying this, I think I said this to you guys. Yeah, I said this to you guys earlier today. But that was the first movie I felt like I was in 5th grade at this point. I just got out of like science camp and my friend Freddie and his dad picked me up and we went to go watch Spider-Man right after that. And I remember I was watching it. Shout out to my friend Freddie.
Shout out to Freddie.
Shout out to Freddie.
And that was the first movie I was like, I want to be Spider-Man and I want to be Green Goblin. I actually wanted to be these characters and I loved it. And, you know, I mean, you got Kirsten Dunst.
William
who's-
Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
I mean,
And you got Kirsten Dunst during the time, like she did Bring It On. She just did the voice acting for Keys Delivery Service. I kind of had a crush on her, and plus, especially that like makeout scene was kind of like a thing. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be truthful and honest and be like, oh, that was kind of hot. And I think
The
about
upside down makeout?
Yeah,
Well, you're not alone.
Yeah.
well,
And-
it won
and the-
MTV's Best Kiss that year.
it
didn't
did.
It did.
Yeah. So,
And it was
And they
great.
parodied it in the OC.
so
Parried it or
Parodied.
parodied it.
Parodied.
They like deflected with a sword.
They parried it. Yeah.
So I mean, I love that. I mean, the whole Peter Parker story is just done so well. And I'm taking this from a film standpoint because in order to have a great, as Rick and Morty would say, in order to have a great adventure, you have to have conflict, obstacle, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But every character has to have intentions and goals and obstacles. The first sentence that is said to in the film is like, it's like, that's Mary Jane. That's the woman. That's the girl next door. The girl I always want to be with.
The
And
one
you
that Ollie never got.
yeah.
Yep.
And then you see
Yeah.
Flash Thompson next to her, and then also he's like, you would think this is me, but it's not. That's me. And it shows him outside the bus trying to catch it, and it's like, oh God, this guy's pathetic. He's sad. And you can watch so many video essays that literally talk about like Peter Parker fails and sucks and nothing ever goes his way, yet he's good-hearted and you identify with him. And the thing is, like, as a kid, when I was in 5th grade, I was like, I love this story because it's literally like this nerd. And we talked about in previous episodes, like what happens when a nerdy person or someone gets powers, like what does it change with their psychology and all that stuff. And even shows like Heroes talk about that, like what happens when we are given these great abilities, which is
Right.
the theme. It's like with
It's that
great power comes
internal morality. Yeah.
with great power comes great responsibility. And they play it off so well where it's like, you know, you feel he's justified when he says like, oh, I forgot to see, or I didn't see where that was my problem when he lets the robber get away.
Put the money in the bag.
And you realize like it affects everything. And it's just, everything hits so well that this character, Peter Parker, that they're building, that they wrote, that Sam Raimi had to direct and control is like, you're rooting from the entire time. And the thing is that Spider-Man gives him this, again, it's a mask. It's an ability for him to be cool. It's an ability for him to be like this awesome hero that everyone loves. Yeah, Peter Parker still sucks all the time. And, you know, he's balancing between, you know, his jackass friend Harry and then like he still loves like MJ and like his aunt is like grieving over the death of Uncle Ben. And then you got Green Goblin who's killing people.
Yep.
And it's like the scope of the film's so good because it's just like Green Goblin causing mayhem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a small comparison to Amazing Spider-Man where I didn't like the scope where it was like, the entire city is turning into lizards. I was like, okay, I guess that's a problem.
that's happening.
I mean, that is a problem.
I guess it's a problem where we can just chop each other's
That's a
arms
really
off and
big
grow it
problem,
back
guys.
together. It's like, yeah, it's a really big problem.
It was a well-told story.
yeah, it's
Like
it's
it
just
was
so
well constructed.
And I will say this all the time. Like, this is when superhero movies weren't called superhero movies.
Right.
This is a movie with a superhero in it. And they were just films. They were just movies being made. And it's like, that was a time where like, I don't know, I felt like, again, this is the beginning of the Western. When the Western became such a huge thing and there was like 100 Westerns being made every year. This is the beginning of it where no one really knew what to put with them. Like, again, we were talking earlier, like movies like Blade and Superman were coming out. And it's just like, they'll come out every 4 years and there'll be a different hero, and it's just like it wasn't this super saturated world that we live in now.
Well, there wasn't
Right,
like
yeah,
an established template
Yeah.
for a superhero movie.
And there was no universe
Right.
like we have now that
you don't have to worry about
they
continuity
could play
or
within.
setting
and-
up something grander.
and you got Danny Elfman doing the music, which is you
Yeah.
know he's
Perfect.
next to John Williams, he like just as legendary, right?
Yeah.
But it's just it's so good, and if you look compared to that to Spider-Man 2, just in terms of color grade, everything's so much more rich and vibrant in that one
Yeah.
comparatively. But
In
it's
two,
in
it's more
compared to
rich?
2 is just like everything's orange and bland.
yeah.
But like in 1, everything's like
Dynamic.
popping out.
It's
just like-
dynamic.
it's like a comic book, and it's beautifully done. I love it, even though Spider-Man 2 is like my favorite. But I don't want to go into Spider-Man. I could talk about Spider-Man 2, but I want to give you guys a chance to talk
Yeah.
about it too.
Well,
Yeah, you go ahead.
I was gonna say the reason I think I liked 1 and 2 more than most of the other ones is because to me they felt like a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
Because there's very few movies where I walk out of a theater nowadays where I'm like, I like that director now. I want to go see more of his stuff.
Hmm.
And I kind of the only other comparison I can think of off the top of my head is Joss Whedon with
Yes.
Avengers,
It's
where
an
it's
Avengers.
Yeah.
very Joss Whedon.
Mhm.
And then it's Avengers
Yeah.
and it gets the Hollywood budget and you get to
Yeah.
see him, unleashed and tell an awesome story.
To go on with that, like you got Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. You got the
Yeah.
Russo brothers, which are doing a fantastic job. But when you watch that movie, you don't look at Yumi and Dupree.
Right. I'm like,
You don't think
I don't walk out.
Wait, you don't say that. You don't see that. And I'm like, cool. I mean, maybe a close is like maybe Favreau,
Right.
and you see
Favreau.
and you're like, okay, cool, Jungle Book. I
Yeah.
can kind of see it. But
Yeah.
like, and I was telling Corey a long time, like for a while, like I think that's kind of the tough thing with these like films now, which I think to me, again, I have a slight bias. I think DC's hitting the metal when it's hot right now because like they're getting the directors that are doing their own thing, which has been like quote unquote detrimental to them because they're not a cohesive thing. Whereas Kevin
Right.
Feige is just like, cool, all you guys are gonna do whatever I want. And to me, the perception is like, I'm gonna get this good director, but we're not gonna make their film.
I think that's the problem, right? Is
They're
that
just
they
good- they're
should
seat fillers.
choose to do that and just own it.
which happened with Edgar Wright.
Right.
Which, like, again, like Edgar Wright went to say is like, I want to do an Ant-Man movie, but Marvel didn't want to do an Edgar Wright movie.
It's like, oh no, they've got an MCU.
Whereas Sam Raimi, again, during these time frames, Sam Raimi was like, this is a Sam Raimi movie. Like,
Yeah.
no,
right.
there's
well,
no.
yeah, it was before. I mean, again, it was
And Bruce
before all
Campbell
that
made
shit.
an appearance in every single one.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell he had control
Right.
over the entire thing.
Yeah.
First two.
First two.
Right.
right.
Right. The first
Um,
And then
two.
it's just a total destruction.
It was. It's
This-
unfortunate.
The Spider-Man 2 is my favorite, obviously, out of all of them. Out of all the Spider-Man movies, it's Spider-Man 2. And it's actually my number 2 in my top 5 comic book movies of all time.
wow.
It is such a great character piece. It develops the characters, and again, you study how like Peter Parker has to literally be torn apart by living this dual life. And the thing is, like, he's not Spider-Man after like 40 minutes in the movie, and he's not going to be Spider-Man for another 30 minutes. And that's a long time in film time. And it's great to see that. And
That's a lot of pages.
I
Yeah.
mean, what made that movie for me is Alfred Molina's Doc
Alfred
Ock.
Molina's
good.
phenomenal
yeah,
in
I
that
mean,
film.
Now, just saying that out
Power
loud,
of the
I think
Sun.
Spider-Man 2 is
man.
my favorite
yeah,
Spider-Man
the
movie.
thing I love about Alfred Molina, he literally is a parallel of like the surrogate father.
Yeah.
He tells Peter, he's like, intelligence is a gift that should be used for the good of mankind, not to be wasted, not to be lazy about it. And it's almost like, great power comes great responsibility. And you see him literally push away Uncle Ben. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm Spider-Man no more. And then they take the famous frame from the comic books where it's like the Spider-Man suit's in the garbage. It's
Mhm.
great. You got J. Jonah Jameson. You got Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, you got so many good things in there.
Well,
J.K. Simmons as J.
actually-
Jonah is pretty fucking phenomenal.
Well, actually, it's like you said in episode 3, you were talking about Mr. Freeze. And like, that's the thing that I liked about Spider-Man 2 as well, is that there was this pulling of his morale.
Right.
Dr. Ock at the end, and he was like, oh yeah, you're right. And he had that ego, like he had that chip that was taking over his brain,
The inhibitor.
the inhibitor. And when it broke and he was able to kind of think for himself, he was like, oh yeah, I have this moral dilemma
Mhm.
and this kind of thing. And it's like, yeah. I mean, it's
what they I can see what they tried to do in the Amazing Spider-Man with that, where they tried to have that link of this great man that Peter Parker respected turn into the same
talking about
guy
Lizard,
he's got
Connor?
that he's got to take down. And because I agree, that's like the same thing with Mr. Freeze. Is it's this thing where you're like, you want him to defeat Doc Ock, but at the same time, you're like, but that's his fucking mentor. You want him to like save him instead. Like, can he save him? Is it possible to bring him back?
And I'll give Amazing Spider-Man like its like credence is like
What?
it had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
I think, and it tried to do it so quickly
Because it wasn't that far.
And
it wasn't
fit within
that
an
long,
already existing universe.
But it wasn't that long after the Sam Raimi films came out. It really was only a couple of years before this
What
one
was
started
it,
coming out.
5?
probably like
Tops?
3.
I think it was like
Yeah, it
But
wasn't
in that
very long at
time-
all.
Marvel got a lot more fantastic,
Yeah.
like in the word,
Yeah.
as in the word fantasy.
Yeah.
So
they were starting to become bigger.
Yeah. So those bigger things, like everyone in the city becoming a lizard, or Electro.
Yeah.
Like those
Eels.
things.
It was 5
Eels.
years. 5
Oh,
years
wow.
between the two.
That's still not that long.
Half a decade.
In terms of
Yeah.
of creating, because the thing about the Sam Raimi films that they did, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not the comic book whiz, is that he had
Organic.
biologic,
Mhm.
but
Organic web. Yeah,
organic webs. And so it's kind of like this new, ooh, that's fun. That's kind of a cool little thing. And then now with Amazing Spider-Man and then on to Spider-Man Homecoming, now you're back to, okay,
Synthetic.
Peter Parker is actually a whiz. He's
Now, see, that's something that.
That's-
Well, in Homecoming, it's not his thing. So the thing I like about there's one thing that struck me with and I'll get way into this, so maybe I shouldn't start yet. But the thing I like about the Amazing Spider-Man is the way that they did Spider-Man and the way that they stayed away from the organic stuff and they made it so that he did get to use a little bit of that genius that makes him, in the original ones, you hear about it a lot. And I think you see a couple scenes with Alfred Molina where he does something scientific, but in reality, it's a big part of his character, like in the story, in the comics and in the story. So to see that in the Amazing Spider-Man where he's making his web cartridges and stuff like that, that really stood out to me as something really cool. I was like, I missed that part. Yeah.
They're all looking at me, just letting you guys, all the audience,
we're all-
they're
he's
all looking
freaking
at
out
me.
over there.
Well, because like I'm like halfway like dabbing because I'm like choking on this chili pepper, but also because I'm like, so the thing that Alfred Molina like, ooh, I love this boy is because he talks about like harmonic frequencies and like talk about like sustaining fusion and crap like that. But so I don't know the exact reason why Raimi decided to do organic ones, but in the comic book, The Other is when in the Spider-Man animated series, you may know it as the Neogenic Nightmare, part 1, 2, 3, 4, is when Spider-Man's mutation goes like crazy and he gets more arms.
Yeah.
His arms rip out.
Man Spider.
And then he becomes Man Spider or Human Spider, whatever.
That's,
crap.
yeah.
Which is cool because they make a little nod to it when Bruce Campbell's like, "What's your name?" Kid, he's like, "The Human Spider." It's like, that's all you got? The Spider-Man. And Spider-Man, it's cool, nice wink and nod to like people like me who are nerds and have nothing else to do. And anyways, but in The Other, this comic book strip, Peter goes to Mr. Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, to be like, "Hey, there's this radioactive spider that bit me. I have this mutation going. What's happening?" Because they deal with cosmic radiation.
Yeah.
And they're like, "We don't know." And he's like, "Crap." So he goes to Charles Xavier, aka Professor X,
Yep.
and says like, "Hey, there's a mutation you should know about." He's like, "We don't know." And so it's literally that he ends up talking to Madam Web, which in the animated series, this weird woman with red glasses and red
Fucking
dress.
dope is what she
And
is.
she's like literally telling him the spider in you is creating a new entity. And just giving you some nerd lore, Spider-Man utilizes a martial arts called the Way of the Spider, which is not man. It's not created by men at all. So, and the great thing in the comic books,
We're going way deep.
the cool thing about the comic books is that
It's a rabbit hole.
cool thing about the comic books is that the spider in Peter Parker's brain is the one that told him how to make the webs and make them into cartridges, make the technology so that if he makes a fist, it doesn't shoot a web, but if he makes the little, demon horns, whatever you want to call them,
I wish
Bullhorns.
everybody could
Yeah.
see what just
to
happened.
do that,
Yeah.
to shoot out webs. And he explains this in an episode of the animated series, but it's pulled from the comic books. And I don't know why Sam Raimi didn't choose to do that instead. But the thing that I'm going to fact check
for it.
for you, and I hate it, is that he didn't even build the goddamn webs in Amazing Spider-Man. Freaking Gwen Stacy did. And that's the irritating thing. He was a fucking idiot in Amazing Spider-Man. I'm
Yeah.
glad that Tom Holland was able to like, cool, I'm gonna lift up this entire locker room thing, and then I've made it myself, which was great. And you see him pop out the web things and all that stuff, which was like, cool, I like that, it's fine. But it's just like, you see, I don't know, it's like I hated the fact that Gwen Stacy was like, she had to be there for him because she was smarter than him. And the thing is that Peter Parker is super smart, and
Right.
like he could be at odds with Otto Octavius, with Doc Connors,
Yeah.
with Reed Richards. He can be there with, you know, Bruce Banner and all that stuff. And then it's like, you got this jackass with a skateboard. And it's like, you got Tobey
Well, I
Maguire
think-
who's like crying like a little bitch. I'm like, cool, at least he's smart. He's able to build his suit and like whatever. And like as long as he does his homework,
I mean, he
guys
builds
and
his suit
girls,
too.
I think both.
they both build their suits.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
he built his suit. He built his suit. Version 1 stayed that way.
till the second movie.
I think both Tobey
No, they're all
Maguire
same suit.
and what is it? Andrew Garfield. They both were victims of executive like
Decision.
intervention.
Yeah,
Because I think the organic web shooters were for simplicity and relatability
Mhm.
of that, like, oh, the average kid can't build web shooters, so
Mhm.
that's not going to be relatable. But this is like old Hollywood thinking.
Yeah.
And then
they were
for,
like, let's relate it to puberty.
Oh.
right.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Garfield was like, he's a victim of people being like, oh, he just needs to be some average everyday kid that has a skateboard.
Yeah.
And he can have, like, he's the main character, so we need people to relate to him. So Gwen Stacy can be the one that's like
Does it?
the smart one or
Yeah.
whatever. That
So he
doesn't
has
have
kind
to
of
be
like a
super relatable.
footloose kind of
Yeah.
scene
A-
where on his skateboard.
Yeah.
So, AKA Peter Parker.
As Tom likes to talk about it, it's a 20-minute scene.
It's a 40-minute sequence of him skateboarding for no goddamn reason.
Oh.
Like they might as well just put Phil Collins and put like slice some inserts of
Every
Tarzan.
time he
in
tells
it.
the story, that scene gets longer. It's
Oh,
does,
crazy.
it does.
But sorry, going back to the other comic book is that at the end of it all, like the spider and him's like taking over, and pretty much the question is like who's gonna win, the man or the spider? And he goes into this cocoon and it's under the docks, and then he all of a sudden like the end of the strip is like he explodes out, and then it's pretty much assumed that the other one that he became truly a spider. And that's where the organics came from. It all got retconned after Civil War because Mephistopheles, aka the person that gave Ghost Rider the ability, did one brand new day and then took away all those abilities. So he uses cartridges now because I guess comic fans didn't like the organics.
I don't.
So
I
you don't like the organics? I liked them.
No.
I liked them because they worked well in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. Because the entire thing, again, he's dealing with the conflict of who he is, and it's just like even though the executives were restricting him, Raimi and the writers, I don't know the writers, but the thing is like a director should be able to control, right? Control
Right.
the creative control of everything. So it's like Raimi still saw the
In a
vision of
perfect
like,
world, yes.
In a perfect world.
Raimi still saw that like, cool, he's going to lose his powers because he's not focused. He's not in it. He's split in half and he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. And he's going to lose all his abilities. And I was like, this is great. This is like, it's literally plot device 101
Yeah.
of like how to do it well.
Yeah. I don't like how they did it in Homecoming. I don't like that he's just given a suit.
Oh,
It bugs me.
there's a
so
lot of
much.
things in
I'll say-
Homecoming I don't like.
I'll say that I prefer that to the montage of him like having a hoodie on and like sweatpants and then drawing it on the paper, and then the next scene is him having the suit on. And it's like, how did you make that? That is
Yeah.
very advanced.
Remind me how you made that.
That is like
Just
The spider
like
tool.
laser
They did
printed
that in the first two,
from
right?
China or something like super
Yeah.
fancy.
So aren't they both like drawing it on paper, and the next
Yeah.
scene they both
Yeah.
have
They
it
have
made?
it on, and it's like the most advanced piece of clothing you could possibly
Every
have on.
cosplayer is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's like,
this
what's
is
your
dry fit
technique?
material. This just came out.
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, it's like I actually watched Spider-Man: Homecoming last night. I really liked it, and the thing is it's like what we're doing is we're comparing Spider-Man movies, but we're really comparing three different things
Yeah,
because
very
they were
different
all
things.
very because.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I think about is I remember when the first Spider-Man movie came out with Tobey Maguire, there was this kid that I went to high school with, and
I'm gonna get started on Tobey Maguire in like 5 minutes.
I'm
here.
sorry if you're listening. I never talked to you ever. And he was the kid that was always in the school bus, always at school, and he was reading comic books.
Shout out to that
And-
kid.
To that kid. And we asked him what he thought about the Spider-Man movie, and he was pissed.
Which
just
one,
was
this
like,
was the Sam Raimi's.
yeah, he was like, they did it wrong. That he didn't speak very much, but
Yeah.
he would just like, the only thing
something he was
he
passionate
didn't
about.
show a lot of passion,
Yeah.
didn't show a lot of emotion, but the one thing was he was like, they didn't do it right, and he was really upset. And we were like, cool, so we're not talking about this anymore.
Yep.
Do you want me to give some credence on that, or like talk about like what could they not did right? Because I mean, there's a lot of things, of course, like not comic book accurate.
Well, of course, I mean here's the thing about comic book. okay, this is the thing about comic books for me.
I think any book adaptation, whatever you're gonna say.
Maybe
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Is that it's a universal like the book was better type argument that could apply to anything.
Yeah.
That's
anything.
Yeah.
And
Except
the
Lord of the
thing-
Rings.
Except for Lord of the Rings, because that was page for page. They had the books
I
on
love
set.
those. I love those books, but god damn it, can that man describe rocks?
Yeah. Man, can he. So, for me, when it comes to comic books, specifically superhero comics, is that it's overwhelming to me because I can pick up The Walking Dead. I can pick up Why the Last Man. I can pick up Preacher.
Yeah.
And I've got kind of a beginning. And though Walking Dead is still going and I'm still reading it,
The end is in sight.
The end is in sight.
In
With
a sense.
superhero comics, there is. So it's like, well, they kind of did it right, but they did it right if it were like 20 years ago or like whatever.
It's
and
to the
I
whim
don't know
of wherever
anything.
the writer is. Too.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
the
It's
writer
like-
could literally change everything.
And so it's like when you,
Well, there's also the studios going, we need to sell toys. How do we market to kids?
yeah,
Well,
How
Which
do
I
we
think is
get- how
exactly
do we
where
make
that
more money?
fucking hour-long skateboard segment came from,
Yeah.
Tom.
And I mean, we touched a little bit about it on episode 3 with Bruce, Tim, and Batman. Like, and that's I think is the danger.
Yeah.
Is that like, so let's say if I didn't know anything about Spider-Man and I only watched the animated series and say that's Spider-Man, then all of a sudden
Right.
anything off of that is wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is with comic books, to Josh's point, is like there are multiple comic books happening at the same exact time. There's crossover events, there's tie-ins, there's one-offs.
Timelines.
There's like the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age. It's like, oh well, there's a time where Superman could create his own powers. It's like, okay, are we gonna go off that now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a time where Superman have kissed you, like you would have lost your memory. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Where do we draw the line?
it's
It's
tough.
essentially the question.
And
My-
but the thing is, like, it's up to the writer of the movie. to,
My
like,
line is
My
Tobey
question
Maguire.
is
that's it, huh? It's Tobey Maguire.
I'll talk about it.
my
Go ahead,
question
Ollie.
is to that same that I would present to that same kid and really anyone that
He's probably an adult.
that
now.
says that like
Oh,
it's
he
not
is
the
an adult.
comics
Yeah.
or that kid back then. Imagine that Sam Raimi, instead of making a movie, decided to write a novel, a graphic novel, a run of Spider-Man that was exactly that, what we saw in the movies. What would you think then? Is that the wrong Spider-Man? No, that's a run of Spider-Man,
Yeah, it's
right?
a version.
So to me, movie adaptations, things like that, it's just a version.
Yeah.
That's interpreted.
Yeah.
From the source
Yeah.
material,
Well, I mean,
whatever it
that's
is.
any story, really.
Yeah, it's a run.
Yeah.
That's why I'm okay with like not being accurate to comics, not being accurate to
Yeah, that's why I don't give a
source
shit.
material, is that it's this interpretation.
Jesus.
In
I'm
summary,
sorry, I'm
yes.
gonna
Here's
say
me
it.
and Tom being like, no.
In summary,
Josh's
I don't
like,
give a
look,
shit. Yeah.
Listen,
I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put money in that studio's
In the thing.
pockets.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go watch it.
There you
And
go.
if I don't like it, who fucking cares? And I'm like, cool. All right.
I saw
That was-
explosions.
Yeah.
I wasn't at work for a while. It was great.
It was great. I was with my wife. We were on a
Spider-Man
date
stopped
night.
the
I'm like
car.
so
Oh
crimson.
man, there is some shade. I didn't
Yeah.
think I was gonna get the shade on this, but
You just got the shade
I
from me
just
and
got
Tom
the-
both.
And I'm sorry if people are listening to this going, "You mother."
No,
But-
okay,
No.
no matter what you think, that shot of Spider-Man grabbing the car from Electro, that was cool.
That was cool.
Oh yeah, it was.
I mean,
The way it was framed.
I mean,
No,
we.
I know you like that, Tom.
Oh. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about this in the first episode of, to me, movies are entertainment. And maybe I haven't read comic books. And so I don't have that cloud. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You could describe it as a cloud.
As Tom would say, the reference for what is right.
You said that weird.
No, for me, it's, I go, I watch a film, and if it entertains me, I'm like, cool, okay, it did its job. I'm getting so many looks, and I'm just like, oh no.
I'm listening because I'm
No,
about to piss
no.
everyone off even
Hey,
more
hey,
than
yeah.
you are.
Okay, hold
I'll
on.
tell you what, I'm about to piss off hundreds of
Okay,
people.
let me get my levity. I 100% agree that, again, going to Corey was like, movies were a time for people to escape. And I think it's as such, but I think we're at this place, and that's kind of why we built this here, is like, we're also adults. We can also analyze and tear them apart if we need to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I could tear apart any movie if I wanted to. That was
You
my
could even
job.
tear apart Spider-Man 1.
I could tear apart The Dark Knight if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If I wanted to. But the thing is also like, I'm not going to ignore certain things, but I'm also going to talk about good things. And that's why I think a lot of people think like, Tom hates this movie. I was like, no, I'm just going to tell
analyzing
you
it.
what is wrong, but but I'm still gonna watch it and give my money and
Yeah.
like
No,
buy
Wouldn't
it
talk
on
about
DVD
it if you didn't
probably.
care.
I mean, here's the thing: is it's like me saying that last thing. It's not like I don't. It's not like I don't analyze things. I'm
Yeah.
a sound designer. I do post production, so sometimes I might be like, and I come from an acting background, and I'm a writer, and so it's like, and my wife's a writer. She writes screenplays, and so it's not like I'm not
out to your
analyzing a
wife.
movie. Yeah, shout out to my wife, definitely. It's not that I don't analyze. It's just my first viewing, I go and I enjoy, and I'm like, okay, cool. And if I don't enjoy it, Bonnie, my wife, we will talk about
Shout
it.
out to
and
Bonnie.
Shout out to Bonnie.
We'll go, okay, well, the writing, okay, there was this plot hole, and that actor was a really weird choice for that character, or that's a really interesting choice in the director, but it's like, I'm going to see it first, and then if I feel so inclined, most likely I'll watch it again, and I'll be like, okay, that's what bugged
And
me
then
about
analyze
it.
it from there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I
get it.
want to get the first intention, because I think that, yes, it's a money-making business, but I also think, I hope, I mean, you're so naive, Josh. There,
You know what? Hope,
But
you know
you're
what hope,
not.
You know what hope
You're not
literally
naive.
means? Hope literally means you have zero.
It means S.
It's because you've seen it.
Oh my god.
You've seen the light, Josh. I don't know if you're a fan of Avengers as much as I am. The movie.
yeah.
I mean, that's an example of such an incredible film that also was a huge box office success.
Yeah.
So the possibility's there. It's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So hope means you have zero input in the matter, but also to Ollie's point is like to Ollie's point, all comic book fans, I don't give a fuck if you like DC, Marvel, Image, Boom, Top Cow. I don't care.
Of course.
You guys should just be happy that they're being made in general.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
they almost
Shut your pie holes.
shut down.
The studios don't hate each other like you guys hate each other.
No.
Just saying that
oh
out
my
loud.
gosh.
The
There's
DC
so much
and
hate.
Marvel studio execs are like best friends.
They
Yeah,
like
they
each
are.
other.
Um,
They want each other to succeed.
And that's
it.
what
Yeah.
I love about
Competition
it.
is
That's another
good
thing.
for everyone.
Yeah.
So Josh, I'm going to tell you how to piss
yeah,
people off.
I want Corey to pop off right now.
I'm going to show you how to piss off a majority of the room right now. I said earlier, I draw my line at Tobey Maguire. I love the Sam Raimi films. I've told Tom this before. In my dream world, there would be Sam Raimi directing Andrew Garfield as his Spider-Man.
And I'm okay with this.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I think that would be amazing. However, Tobey Maguire and his I'm about to shit my pants face every time he does something cool.
Shit his pants while
Okay,
crying.
I will give you that.
That I love.
Like when he's holding back the train.
When he's home by the train and everyone catches him, it's a beautiful scene, but boy, did I laugh my ass off in the theater. It was supposed to be this really touching thing where he's trying, but the whole time I'm like, he's gonna explode. He's gonna shit his pants. He would be. If you're making that face,
I can't even like.
He has an ugly cry.
I can't
face, too.
believe
He has an ugly cry,
Sam
yeah.
didn't maybe pull him aside and be like, let's just, let's do one without the face just to have, because then we'll have it.
I mean, just in case.
Just in
And
case.
then we'll have it.
And then we'll have it.
Options.
Yeah.
But
Options.
everyone on set went, that was great. And I'm sitting there in the theater, even as like that came out in that was the second one,
You
right?
got Phil Lamar in that
That
scene,
was
too.
2005, I think. So I was 16, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" There's a moment in 1 too where he does the same thing, where he's got like half his mask on in that last scene, and he's crying, and it's awful. I can't stand Tobey Maguire. I don't like him as an actor in any movie.
Hey, why don't you tell us how you really feel?
Okay, I will.
I love that picture, that meme. where
Every time
it's
he
Tobey Maguire.
screams, I can't stand it. I can't stand the line. It's you who's out, Gobby, out of your mind. That's not Spider-Man. That's not quick-witted Spider-Man.
No. it's
Not at all. That's awful. So that has I agree. I love those films. I played the video games, and at the time I was like, this is great. I could never take Tobey Maguire seriously as Peter Parker or Spider-Man because for a couple reasons. One, I didn't like the sound of his voice. Just straight up, gonna be honest with you.
You're
I don't
that guy.
when he would scream or say something
I
cool.
think there's a lot of people that
No,
agree.
I know.
That
When he would
agree.
scream, like yell or say something cool, and his voice would like crack, I was like, yeah, I was like, no.
The best one is when a build or like part of the shed that's coming up is about to kill Mary Jane. He's like, no! It
Yeah,
just jumps in.
it took me out of it every time, like far out of it. Like it wasn't even just like that was kind of weird. I'd be like, oh shit, it's Tobey Maguire.
Like those scenes, like in Doctor Strange when he's like,
Yeah, where he's like, that was me in the theater.
We could talk about.
We'll do it another
oh,
time. Well,
no.
I'm with you on that, Tom. That we agree.
Okay, all right.
But so that killed it for me. I wasn't a big fan of Kirsten Dunst at the time either. I felt that,
you got
especially
James
with
Franco though.
The Amazing Spider-Man, for
William
me,
Dafoe.
I enjoyed.
the connection between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone for me was leagues beyond anything I saw in the first
but it's Emma
3.
Stone.
Right. Well, that's that too, and they were dating in real life as
Yeah.
well.
The tough thing for me, so I'll agree that I think Andrew Garfield I think to me he has better acting chops.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
And they wrote his Spider-Man better, like his one-liners and his
Yeah.
quick jabs in between shit.
I'll
was
agree with
great.
that. Yeah.
and I think, but the thing is, if you watch 500 Days of Summer, you could see, okay, cool, Peter Parker can work because Mark Webb did 500 Days of Summer,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So you're like, cool. But when you watch that in a Spider-Man movie, it looks like there's two different movies happening. They don't flow together.
Oh, I felt like they flowed just fine.
No.
It's a kid. Yeah.
To me, it's just like, Peter, I'm here, help me. And it's just like, okay, cool. And then here's Jamie Foxx as a blue man. And it's just like, Peter!
Now I will agree
And
with
it's just like,
you.
why-
I will
it's
agree
like,
with
why?
you. This is why it's the end shape for me, because that second Amazing Spider-Man, they tried to do too much shit.
They were just setting up a Sinister Six movie, which I think is a dumb thing. Because it's like,
Yes.
why are you setting up like a whole ensemble?
Didn't
That's
make
how it's
sense.
And how fucking dare you waste Paul Giamatti like that?
Oh my
how
God.
fucking dare you?
Yeah, that is a how dare you.
But so my whole thing is, like I said before, Sam Raimi and Andrew Garfield together would be like my dream team. But forever and always, I think, in my personal opinion, the first Amazing Spider-Man is my favorite. Is my personal favorite. It's
I
the
like
one
that,
I've watched the most.
I like that meme of
Meme?
Tobey Maguire as that meme as Spider-Man and looking at the billboard of Amazing Spider-Man going, I'm amazing too.
I haven't seen that, but I'm gonna look it up.
my feels about Amazing Spider-Man is that it was hard for me to get into it at first because Andrew Garfield for me is an acquired taste.
Okay.
I think when I first started watching Amazing Spider-Man, there was a part of me that kind of went, Peter Parker's kind of a douchebag.
That's Tom's point. Yeah.
He
I mean,
felt like a douchebag to me at
and the-
first.
and-
more so than ever because
And you kind of like, you keep watching and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep drinking.
He's a
Okay.
cool kid.
Yeah.
Who
He does this
gives
thing-
a
Yeah.
shit about a cool kid?
there's this thing
Yeah.
I talked about with my wife that a lot of British actors who are doing American accents do, and I call it cool guy mouth.
No, it's not even that.
It's cool guy mouth.
no.
I'm just watch it. Next time you're seeing an American actor, like Tom Holland does it when he's doing Spider-Man, the way they say words is like really cool. Like they talk cool. And you're just like, you don't have to do that, dude.
But it's not even that. Like Tom Holland was like nerdy and pathetic too because he couldn't talk to the girl. He could talk. Andrew Garfield could talk to the girl. The only time you felt like, oh, he's not cool is like when he's like turning Spider-Man. He's like, he's like took an acting cue from Shia LaBeouf from Transformers, just
Yeah.
stuttering left and right and breaking shit. I'm just like, stop, just stop, whatever you're doing. Say
Oh,
sentences.
Transformers.
You're a high school. You're not stupid.
That's
Yeah.
a whole
Who
nother
uses
episode.
Bing
yeah.
for search engines?
When a studio gets involved.
Ugh.
That's the perfect example
Do
of
you
when a
remember
studio
when
gets
Bing
involved.
was like a...
Is
They
only
were
good for porn? Yeah.
No, I
do you mean?
remember when they used to have...
That's it.
Hashtag not my search engine.
Jesus.
Well, to me more it was the Sony Vaio products. But
Yeah.
to such an extent that I was shocked when they weren't
Shocker.
in when I was shocked when they weren't in this new one, Homecoming.
Yeah.
I was like, where's all the
I-
Vaio products?
So
and then we looked it up afterwards with my roommate and he was like,
Shout out to your roommate.
yeah, shout out to you.
and we're like-
for sure.
they were like, oh, Sony stopped making Vaio computers. And we're like, oh, okay.
I had a Vio. That was my first computer.
But yeah.
You poor sad
I,
man.
I was Andrew Garfield. That's what I was said.
I was like, what's Adele doing in this movie?
As far as the last film goes, it's the last thing I'll talk about. And I'll pass the mic around. As far as the last film goes, I had a lot of fun. I love Michael Keaton. I will forever love Michael
I
Keaton.
love
Michael
Michael
Keaton
Keaton.
was the best. To me, my favorite part of the movie.
He was the best
Yeah.
part of that movie.
Yeah,
That's
he
what I was
was.
about to say.
Yes.
And I know you're going to talk about that one scene, so I'll let you do that because you describe it better. But it played on that morality thing where his family's threatened, so he's protecting it. So you feel for him. But there was something missing from the last one for me. And I think it was, they did a lot of rushing. It felt really rushed. Like they were trying to fit a lot into one thing to catch you up with this universe that's been existing. But all of a sudden we want to do a Spider-Man movie, even though it's been, almost 10 years that this universe has been around. So let's make it feel like a lot of things got to happen at once. And I agree. While I agree, there doesn't necessarily need to be another origin. A lot of people had an issue with that. I don't think we need a third fucking origin of Spider-Man. I do agree with Tom on this point where the beginning of the film, where they took 10 minutes showing you what he was doing during Civil War, was a waste of time.
It's also like it's like you've created this kingdom universe mega movie blockbuster that's even affected TV shows. Like Law and Order is part of a universe now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And you're gonna give me a 10-minute recap of the last movie I just saw?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Tom,
Why?
you know what I'm really proud of us for is, hold my hand. We agree on a Spider-Man film. This is really wonderful. This has never happened before.
I feel like I just feel really sad right now because I don't.
I liked it.
I want to hold your hands, but
You can hold my hand.
I think
it was
that-
entertaining.
I think there are
Yes.
enjoyable parts to it. I'm gonna just destroy one part of it real quick. They try to do a Batman thing where it's like in Dark Knight you have the Joker opening, in Dark Knight Rises you got the Bane opening, and in this one you got Michael Keaton
yeah.
trying to do the thing. But it didn't work. It worked to the way where it's like, I care more about Michael Keaton to try to provide for his family and get the fuck out of this business than I care about Peter Parker and this Hercules ass like intention and goal of like, I want to be a hero so I could be an Avenger, not so I could save people. I don't care about this old lady and her cat. Like when Peter Parker is
my
like,
aunt's hot.
when Peter Parker is like,
She
I have to
really
go
is.
deliver these pizzas or else I'm going to get fired. I'm still going to save the dumbass kids who are playing on the street. Like, that's the thing that's important. Hey, Otto Octavius is going to go walk away with all these pounds of gold. I'm still going to save this old lady who's falling to her death. Like, to me, this Peter Parker didn't give a shit about like the small thing. And that's the friendly neighborhood spider, which Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man literally had to be like, dude, you have to do this because
You literally have to be a friendly neighborhood
this is
spider.
your character, but it's like you don't even get that because you're living in a world where like the Avengers is such a thing that you care about that more than actually being a hero.
Here's
Let's fight.
here's what I'll say. Like I agree to an
Breathe,
extent
Tom.
where that part of the storytelling fell apart for me, where I didn't buy that whole like you have to become. It wasn't. I don't feel like it was told very well with between him and Iron
Good
Man.
idea, poor execution.
Exactly.
I feel like they tripped while they were
Fantastic
telling
idea.
it.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Could have been amazing, but fell flat.
Could have been amazing.
Spider-Man.
Could have amazing. Could have been like
They
the
already
amazing.
did that.
But here's where I come from, and maybe this is me just getting older, like over the hump of 30
Man
years old.
Ollie.
Yeah, going into Old Man Ollie.
that the
I don't,
sequel
I
to
don't
Old
go
Man
to the
Logan?
movies
Mhm.
as much as I used to, and I realize Disney pretty much owns my ticket sales because it's like Pixar, Star Wars,
Yep.
and
All the good
MCU.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about DCU later, but
Yeah, we'll do an episode.
don't really care too much about that. For me, Homecoming wasn't necessarily an attempt to do a Spider-Man movie. It was a piece of the puzzle into the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you exploding over there.
Oh my gosh.
This
Tom
was
is actually shaking.
to me. This is the MCU franchise, and they're not as distinct movies anymore to me. It's just
Which is
one
unfortunate.
big thing,
And I think
which is
that's
unfortunate.
The part that bugged us.
But it
is that-
entertains me, and so I'm coming from it from that perspective where I was like, oh, that's kind of cool seeing his like Instagram, whatever Snapchat that was of him while the Civil War stuff's going on in the airport. Like I was like, okay, it's like alternate angle or whatever, exactly what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that part. I have other issues with the movies, but I agree with the storytelling. I think that was the weakest part, was that like second act.
Yeah, well,
So wait, it just sounds like I saw your face and I
Yeah.
just heard, Tom, key my car tonight, please. That's all I heard.
wow.
That's all I heard was that. I'm gonna say like
So when we think back 2
Holy
years,
shit.
I wanted to give you something to go off of. I'm feeding you fuel.
again. So the tough thing with being a comic book nerd and then being a film
Leave your
guy
hair alone. Leave your hair alone.
I think he's going bald.
is like, I love comic books so much, and I am like that kid who's like, I love the fact that they're being made, but then I'm also the film guy that's like, I deserve better films. And to me, MCU is becoming glorified commercial TV episodes, and I don't like that a lot.
I don't
like-
disagree.
I felt, and I got really upset when Joss Whedon left with Age of Ultron, because I felt like, cool, there's Ragnarok, there's stuff going on with Ragnarok now.
Which I'm pretty
There's-
excited about, by the way.
There's Civil War
Taika
coming now.
Waititi.
There's now something that's going on with Wanda. It's like, it felt so commercial. It felt so much like, this is what's in store for you.
Mhm.
And the whole like, again, I will say this, Marvel is revolutionary in the way that Avatar is revolutionary, where I didn't like the movie,
Except that Avatar sucked.
but I respect the fact that it's revolutionary. But the whole idea of a lineup, this is the movies that are going to come out, makes every movie feel like a stepping stone. And I feel like maybe, again, I'm an old person and like movies are going to change. And like, I would love for us to like talk about it, because I think Netflix is changing that way too.
Oh, yeah,
But, like,
absolutely.
I get very irritated by
Yeah.
that idea.
I get that.
And And to me, like, I don't know what Phase 4 is going to be, but I feel like it's not going to be able to capture the same like success that
Or
they
the
did.
heart of like the first few.
Yeah,
the-
to me,
the-
I
the
mean, to
first
be
movie
completely
movies.
honest, to me, it's been downhill since Avengers 1. Like, with the exception of like Guardians of the Galaxy,
Oh yeah.
because I feel like that kind of stands apart. And you know,
That
I have
may
to
feel
be,
like
I have to be
it's
proven
on
wrong.
its own thing. Oh man,
It is.
I have to be proven wrong because I'm waiting for Avengers 3.
Well, you didn't like Winter Soldier? I love what the Russos are doing with it, and I trust
I
them.
liked it.
And I feel like, to me, the Russos took care of Spider-Man more than John Watts did.
That made me care about Captain America.
Yeah.
Because the first one didn't really, I like the style of the first one. That kind of goes back into the conversation about like, this felt like a X person's movie,
Mhm.
you know, Johnston.
Yeah, but we don't know you. We don't see Yumi and Dupree. But one
Right.
thing I will say, like, about the Spider-Man sequence in Civil War, in the Civil War Mark Millar comic book, where this is all based off of, where that was all based off of, Spider-Man already has the Iron Spider suit, which has 3 golden legs. And there's a part where Captain America and Spider-Man are fighting. And the really great thing is, like I said before, Spider-Man has the martial arts of the way of the spider. And Spider-Man says in his inner monologue, it's like, Captain America is the best hand-to-hand combat fighter in this entire, ever known. He's the Batman equivalent, right? So Batman's the best fighter, Captain America's the best fighter, and Spider-Man knows he's going to get his ass whooped. And then Spider-Man literally says, but he's not expecting these things. And then he like hits him with these 3 golden legs, which is fucking amazing. And so I loved seeing that happen from Civil War, and I love hearing how Peter Parker and Cap were like, "Where are you from? Queens, Brooklyn."
Okay. Yeah. I'll amend my statement because I don't know why I keep forgetting about Civil War, even though it's my second favorite Marvel movie.
It's a great
ever.
film.
But yeah, it was Avengers was like in my mind that was Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Civil War.
Yeah.
Everything else was like a step below those 3 films in my mind.
Iron Man.
Well, Iron Man was before.
Oh, okay.
Like, I meant like leading up to
after
Avengers.
that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
after.
All right, so back to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Back to Spider-Man.
Wow.
I've kind of said my piece on it.
it's what's man.
Do you want me to?
I
keep
mean, I
going.
don't think I've gotten. Did I say my official thing about Spider-Man?
No.
I don't know.
No, you haven't given us your
My rankings?
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
We
2.
don't have to have a ranking. Just like
Right, yeah.
what is your preference?
I love Spider-Man 2. I watched it very recently again. And again, we've already talked about the parts that the reason I love it. But Alfred Molina is like the best part of that for me.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a great scene he has in this movie called Coffee and Cigarettes you should check out with Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
I love
it's
it.
Steve
Yeah.
so
Coogan.
good.
But yeah, I mean, he's just a great actor.
I think, I don't know, to me, maybe I have to rewatch them again because, again, first viewing is always entertainment. It's very hard to analyze things, but I've watched all the Spider-Man movies multiple times. Maybe I need to watch them again, just at least the newer ones, like Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Homecoming. And
I'll do that with you.
I will give credence to the fact that, like, Spider-Man Homecoming said, like, hey, this is a John Hughes movie. John Hughes
Yeah, it was
movie.
something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much Ferris
Right.
Bueller.
Oh, John
yeah,
Hughes.
yeah.
John
Hughes.
Hughes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man meets.
Oh, do not
that.
compare that to Ferris
That's
Bueller's Day Off.
literally how they were marketing.
That's-
They were
yeah.
saying like this is a kid movie, Spider-Man movie. I'm like, I get it, and that's why I let there's a lot of, to me, dumb juvenile things, like the dumb friend that's like, can I tell you a secret all the time?
He's playing hooky on his day off or whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
the kind of vibe.
Which I mean, it's cool. It's like cool high school party. What's good in the girls? Like I like that kind of stuff. I like the bullying. That was okay. Like there's like those random school social things like gym and like academic decathlon and stuff like that. It's like cool. I relate to that part, but like there was a lot of things in there where it's like I just like it didn't make me feel like Peter Parker also gave a shit about. So it's like why do I give a shit if he doesn't care?
yeah.
It's like
I think
Like when he was trapped in the.
yeah, like Peter cares like that Harry's trying to get with MJ. Peter cares that like Flash Thompson's trying to beat him up and Flash Thompson's like being an asshole to like push away Mary Jane, like in Tobey Maguire's movie. Like all those things matter, so I care about them. But this kid's just like, Iron Man, I love him. I just want to be him. Da 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 da. No, you can't tell my secret. My aunt is getting hit on by Thai guys at a restaurant and whatever.
here's what I'll say at this point in time with the MCU. I think this is the only version of Spider-Man that would have been possible to make.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
I agree with that.
I get that.
yeah, and like Flash Thompson, the modern bully or whatever, like instead
Is
of
a-
it being like a
is
big
internet
brooding
troll.
guy, yeah. And him
I
being
think
like
that's
a
a great
teenager
idea, by
from
the way.
Queens because
don't like the fact that
explains
he's
why
doing
he was gone
that.
for so long and all that good stuff.
And to me, the weird thing is like MCU's been pretty good about like shoehorning all like the arc developments between characters. And I'm looking at Flash Thompson as he's gonna be future Agent Venom, where he becomes a war hero, gets his legs blown off, and gets a symbiote on him,
And it's
becomes
the same kid
this
from Grand
dope-
Budapest.
Yeah, and I'm
It's
just
like how can Spider-Man be legitimately part of the Avengers?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll have Iron Man make a suit, and then he can be
Who
legitimately
doesn't
part of
want
the
to be
Avengers.
Venom in the MCU, sir?
Tom Hardy. Ooh, Tom Hardy's gonna be Venom.
Oh, that's gonna be
in the
great.
Sony one. Well, anyways,
Hashtag that's my Venom.
So I mean, I loved Homecoming myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's my second
I
favorite.
loved it. Last night I
Spider-Man
watched
movie.
it and I went because you were saying that it was rushed, and I realized like when we were into it, I was like, oh wow, this is a 2.5 hour movie.
So yeah, not rushed in the sense of I don't think rushed was the right word, but it felt like it was trying to do a lot.
yeah, I mean, this is me. The whole Donald Glover sequence wasn't needed. None of that was needed.
As much as I love Donald Glover, he's my
you
favorite
brought in
person.
the Prowler. You
Yeah.
brought in Miles Morales. You brought in like Donald Glover, who Miles Morales was like based off of another Spider-Man, which is beautiful fan service. It's like Batman vs Superman. In Batman vs Superman, spoilers, when Superman's dead and they're at the funeral, there is a gentleman who's walking in front of like the mourning crew, and you definitely see him. He's like, you'd say, a featured extra. He's the guy that bought the $5 million copy of Superman. But
Yeah.
you don't know that shit. You
Been
don't. There's
there
not
for the
explicit
fans.
like reason of like he's something
Yeah.
that matters.
So what Tom's saying is that for those of you who don't know, Donald Glover voices Miles Morales, or voiced.
He voiced him in the animated, but he was like the creator of Miles Morales' character in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe based that character off of
Donald
Donald
Glover.
Glover.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, before Andrew Garfield,
Mhm.
people were thinking like, oh, Donald Glover's going to be Spider-Man because there was such a big hype about it.
Hashtag Donald for Spider-Man, and that's a real hashtag.
There was a big thing about it and all that stuff, but then here it didn't play out that well. And I didn't care about
They
it.
hinted at things, but I don't think they were necessarily hints.
Like no, like his character is the Prowler, and his nephew becomes Miles Morales.
yeah.
Like so, it's like
Well, there you go.
it's like okay, cool. Like maybe in 3 or 4 movies, Peter Parker's gonna die and Miles Morales is gonna become Spider-Man. Like makes sense. Every character in all the Marvel now or Marvel whatever it's called now are all different people. Like Captain Falcon is Captain America.
Thor's a girl.
Iron Man, Tony Stark is now a consciousness. He is the Jarvis, and Riri is now Ironheart.
Yeah.
The Hulk is Asian dude now.
Yep.
It's like everyone's different, which is cool because again, moving into Phase 4, we don't know what's going to happen.
That's
Chris Evans' like contract has been like up in the air for such a long time. Everyone's like, is Bucky going to be it, or is
You don't have to recast if it's a new character.
yeah?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy, but
Now go ahead.
No, I
I was gonna say, Tom, I want you to just spend a minute or two here, talking about that scene
what scene?
in Homecoming.
Oh, well, I mean,
that sold you. That you're like, there he is. There's
Yeah.
the director.
okay, so John Watts did Cop Car. He did other films too, and Cop Car pretty
Yeah.
much is a movie about 2 kids who gets a cop car and then take it for a joyride, much like other movies in the 90s were like joyrides. But pretty much Kevin Bacon is the antagonist, and he's like hiding something in the trunk, and it's like this very big thriller, and it was like a festival film which like did great, amazing reviews and all that stuff. But I felt like, again, to Ollie's points, like you don't see the director in the movie. Like Sam Raimi, this is a Sam Raimi movie. Like Joss Whedon, this is a Joss Whedon movie. Like I didn't see John Watts until this sequence where, you know, it's funny. Like everyone's like, Tom, you're full of shit. Like you didn't know this. Like the moment Aunt May was like, cool, we're gonna go pick up, you know, what's her face to go to the prom or whatever, and then she's driving. She drives up to the stair steps, and like you see Peter Parker get out of the car. I'm like, something's gonna happen because in movie world, like you don't show, like Alfred Hitchcock rules, like you don't show the boring parts. You just
Right.
get to the action. Like it would have been literally shit hit
it's a
like
smoking gun. You don't.
Right.
My thought is like, don't have anything on screen if it doesn't have a purpose.
yeah. And so
So
like
if it's gonna happen,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Spoiler
something's
warning
about to happen.
for
Spoilers.
Homecoming.
Spoilers is that he's walking up to this staircase, and I was kind of like, and first in my mind I thought the Shocker was going to be the dad. I was like, oh, maybe the Shocker's dad. No, you can be better. And then all of a sudden the
Tom
door
and I
opens.
looked at each other right before the door opened.
The door
We were
opens
like,
and Michael Keaton comes out, and it's like the Vulture's like, I knew it. I was like, I knew it. It had to be. And it's like everyone's like, Tom, I didn't see that coming. You're full of shit. It's like I didn't see it like miles away, but I was like, something's going to happen at this door. Something that's like a major twist because we haven't seen these parents.
everything's going too well.
Yeah.
It got me because I was just expecting the montage to continue.
Yeah.
You know, he was gonna have a fun time at prom, blah blah blah, and then we're gonna have something happen.
It's like, well, right before that, I just like in terms of the language, like you saw like him moving from shot to shot, like you don't actually see him walking.
Right.
And this one's like they're taking their sweet time just to get to prom. Something has to happen, and maybe it's just because like I watched too many movies and I look too much into it and I can't really enjoy them. But like the film language at that point became so simple, and I was like, I know what's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen right here. It's not the dad's gonna be a villain. I don't know who it is, but it's gonna be a villain. And
people would hate watching movies with my wife and I because we'll be sitting there and we'll be like, it's gonna be
Yeah.
Fucking told you.
no,
I told you it's gonna be him.
another spoiler. No, I won't do it. I was going to do the Wonder Woman spoiler, but I was like, because I saw that miles away, like 10,000 miles away. I was like, oh my God.
Stick to Spider-Man. Stick to Spider-Man.
But comparatively, like, the film language, like in Spider-Man 2, one of my favorite scenes is when Peter Parker is trying to go to Mary Jane's play. And he stopped, and then on the way there, he's on his bike, and he gets almost ran over by these guys who robbed a bank, whatever. And he stops them, whatever, slings them up in the building, whatever. And he can't go in. He's stopped by Bruce Campbell, and he's forced to wait outside. And then you got the little Asian lady playing the Spider-Man song. And all of a sudden, you see people coming out of the play. And then you see Mary Jane come out from the back door, and then the Danny Elfman theme plays. And it's just somber, very like Nightmare Before Christmas, like loneliness that plays. Yeah. And it's just him from a far shot looking, seeing his desire, his objective. And you see her like with someone that, you hear the conversation between Mary Jane and the friend, and you just see him waiting on the other side on the steps, and he can't do anything. And people are passing him by, stopping him from his objective. And then you see him actually take a step forward, and then she gets stopped by her soon-to-be fiance, and then later on, like, it cuts back where she looks back and sees where he would have been, and he's gone at that point. And like, to me, no words were spoken between the characters. It's all it is, just the gaze, how he looks upon her, and and it's cool because
Tom's tearing up right now, just so that you know.
In the beginning of the film, one of my favorite lines is from James Franco, and he says like, "She's waiting for you, pal. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And he says the way she looks at you or doesn't look at you, and it's like that. It's like, when you have film language so well done, when you just look at something, it's Kuleshov effect. Like, you look at something, you have the person looking at it, you show what it is, you go back to the person, they smile, they're sad. It's like, exactly how they feel. Like, the brain is able to do that. And I feel like some of these filmmakers, which I think is a big MCU problem, they get like these, I mean, I could even be one of these directors someday. Like, they get these like young filmmakers who like did one good film, and they throw them in these giant blockbusters, and like, they don't really know the language that well. Like, Sam Raimi was able to do 3 Evil Dead movies. He did, Evil Dead 1, 2, and then Army of Darkness. And he probably did other movies in between. I just don't think of them right now, but he's able to get his craft really well done before like jumping into this movie.
He has a style.
Yeah. Mark Webb, his big thing was 500 Days of Summer. And what else did he do before that? Like, he had to just jump right into a big one. So,
But that scene in the car was just fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hashtag
so
Tom
good.
cries too.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel good, guys. I feel like this was a therapy session for me. I got to get a lot out.
We didn't really come at a there will never be a nerd on we agree on the Spider-Man universe.
As long as it's not Tobey Maguire, I think we all agree.
Well, I think this podcast should promote pluralism. We have to be able to like think the way we think.
Debating is okay.
I think it would be a good around the horn. What's your favorite Spider-Man movie? Maybe like top 3.
Oh.
Top 3 Spider-Man movies. So mine, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
those are
a good list.
Those are my top 3.
Mine's Amazing 2 and 1.
Okay.
Mine's 2, Homecoming 1.
Okay.
Oh man, that's a really good list.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 2, 1, Homecoming, but that's I don't really.
I feel good about all that.
So no one likes Spider-Man 3.
Least favorite. Can we just please? Can we be negative for?
It's 3. It's absolutely 3.
We didn't even mention it.
Can we at least agree?
None of us even touched on it.
No matter how bad anything else is, Spider-Man 3 is not.
We were yelling. There were tears. There was shouting. Yet none of us talked about 3.
So that there is.
Hey, because that would be happiness.
Yeah,
that would be happiness.
Look at the positive. We do agree on something.
In order for us to be happy, we have to direct our anger towards one thing.
You guys, real quick, have seen that someone dubbed over that scene where he's walking down the street with real sounds, right? They took the music out and did like people doing, and it's awful. Wow. It's like cringeworthy. It's awful. I'll show it to you after this.
Okay. Well, that is the Spider-Man episode. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable episodes I've had to do.
Yeah.
But
I shook the most.
It feels.
I was getting so angry.
Enjoy listening back to it over and over again.
Yeah.
You guys can let us know who your favorite Spider-Man is.
Please
where can they find us to let us know that, Josh?
Well, you can find us on Instagram. It's Nerd on the Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Nerd on the Pod. Facebook, Nerd on the Podcast. YouTube. We are actually on YouTube now. You can watch, listen.
Watch and listen.
Watch and listen to our episodes.
Visual things happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's it's pretty sexy. But you have to look for us. You have to search Nerd On the Podcast. We're not big boys yet.
But you can find it on any of our social medias.
Yeah,
or our
exactly. There's a
website.
link.
Head on over to
somewhere.
our glorious, spiffy new website.
Yeah, our new website.
Super dope.
On the website, there is a donate link. We would truly, truly appreciate it if you gave us a little cashola, just because this podcast is of our own devices. Devices? Is it devices or
Out
devices?
of pocket, as they say.
Yeah.
Because we're
pocket.
all really Peter Parker. We're all
Yeah.
really poor. And we all
We're not
need-
Batman yet.
Yeah,
I'm not wearing hockey.
I'm pretty sure that's made it to every episode.
I hate that.
Every
it so
episode.
It's the
you
worst
can find
Is that
me.
nerdonthepodcast.com?
Huh?
Nerdonthepodcast.com.
Oh, yes. Go to our website, nerdonthepodcast.com. You can find me, Twitter, just Joshnia. I know Tom hates it so much.
No, I
But
love
it's
it.
It's
just
like
Josh
you
and
can
you.
find me on Twitter, just Josh. I'm just kidding. You can't find me.
Yeah, the first episode we did all think it was a joke, to be fair.
Instagram, Joshua S. Manley. Facebook, Joshua Sterling Manley. IMDb. PSN, Sterling J85. Let's play. I don't care. Let's do it.
My name is Tom at Tall Dark Not Ugly on everything and everything. On PSN, it's Tall Dark Not Ugly, Tall Dark _ Not Ugly, and it's god awful to find, but you could probably find it.
Hit him up on Twitter about that.
Yeah, hit me on Twitter, hit me on the Instagram, slip and slide in my DMs, carping all them DMs.
All them DMs.
Carping the DMs all day. And on IMDb, I'm Thomas Pedborisu.
You can find me on Instagram, Corey89, or at We Are Storyboard, BORED, or wearestoryboard.com. You can find me on Xbox, Corthaniel, NIAL.
If you have the wrong console.
And we can play
Yeah,
some
the
Destiny 2,
incorrect
thanks
console.
to these two guys over here. That's
Yeah.
all I'm doing now.
How's your Borealis? Oh, wait, you don't have one.
Or you can find me on Blizzard, too. Same thing, Corthaniel. Play some Here's the Storm.
Ollie, you can find me on PSN, future_foe, on Twitter, @futurefoe. And that's all I ever do. So
That's fair.
Those are the only two things.
All right, well, thank you for listening, guys.
And as always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.